Well, on NBC's Meet the Press, President Trump talked about the economy and the possibility of a recession. Take a listen.
There are many people on Wall Street say this is going to be the greatest windfall ever happened.
And that's my question,
Remember
the
this.
long term.
Yeah.
Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
This. Look, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastically.
And with that, let's welcome in our panelist. Brandon Arnold joins us, Executive Vice President at the National Taxpayers Union. Matthew Tuttle's here, CEO at Tuttle Capital Management. Welcome to you both. Thanks for coming on. Okay, Brandon, let's talk about what the president's predictions are when it comes to the economy. It seems like recession, concerns about that happening are still circulating, but he appears optimistic.
Yeah, he does appear optimistic, and there are reasons for optimism, for sure. I mean, Congress is moving on his tax plan right now. I think that will be a jolt for the economy. He's begun the deregulatory agenda that we saw back in 2017 that helped stimulate the economy. Getting that deregulatory agenda back on the books is going to be great for the economy. The tariffs, of course, are that dark cloud, and I think that's the reason why we are seeing the early signs of what could be a recession here. I'm hopeful that the fiscal policy that he's implementing and the deregulatory policy will outweigh that, as well as the reaching of some trade deals to help reduce the amount of uncertainty caused by those tariffs that he's implemented.
Yeah, Matthew, so over the weekend, OPEC and another 8 oil-producing companies announced a massive plan to increase production by about 400,000 barrels of oil per day. We've already seen the price of oil dip below $57 a barrel, which is considerably less than half of what it was under Joe Biden. That means lower gas prices, and that should also put some deflationary pressure on the economy because everything needs fuel.
Exactly. And so chalk that up as a win for Trump and in what he wants in his agenda. Obviously, he wants fair trade. He wants lower inflation. And one of the big ways to get that is to lower oil prices. He also wants lower interest rates. So you're going to see a lot of pressure on Powell. Fed meeting this week, probably going to do nothing, but he's going to keep that pressure up. But certainly, this one goes in the win column.
Yeah. We were talking about tariffs, right? The still uncertainty that surrounds it. Maybe we'll see an official trade deal this week. The White House has sort of implied that, but we're waiting for officially a country to come out and say, hey, it's us. We got the deal done, right? So we'll see. But the president isn't stopping with his tariff agenda anytime soon. In fact, we learned about the 100% tariffs on all movies that are coming to the U.S., produced overseas. Here's what he had to say about that.
And we're making very few movies now. Hollywood is being destroyed. Now, you have an grossly incompetent governor that allowed that to happen. So I'm not just blaming other nations, but other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. And I'm saying if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in.
So again, waiting to find out specifics here. And I guess, films have a different way of doing it. Different production studios might look for other countries to film or even do their editing. But Brandon, what do you think about this move here? The movie industry now facing a tariff.
Yeah, I think this opens a whole new front in this tariff conversation because traditionally what we've applied tariffs to are tangible goods. You bring in an automobile or aluminum or what have you. We apply tariffs to that. Other countries have been a little bit more protective of their service industries. We typically have not. So if we're going to start opening the door to things that move via digital channels, then we're talking about huge ramifications. In general, we are a net exporter when it comes to services. So if we're opening this up to digital products and things like that, I think this could be a whole new war, a whole new front in this trade war, and there are huge ramifications for our economy as a result of that.
Yeah, and one of the things that we have seen is many of the major production companies, major productions had actually changed their plots and narratives because they wouldn't either be able to be shown in China or China money and investors would back out because of the requirements that it basically said good things about communist China. So speaking of China, Chinese bargain retailer Temu changed its business model by basically ending product shipments from China directly to U.S. shoppers. This comes after they increased their prices, added import charges ranging from 130 to 150%. Matthew, what do you think of this? Because this was a low-cost competitor to places like Amazon and others, and it could change the way people buy.
I mean, it could definitely. It's a small part of the overall big issue, which is trade war with China. And, that's going to be an overhang on this market until we get some sort of resolution here. And, and the problem is that resolution is going to take a while. I mean, you talked about, maybe we get a trade deal done this week. I think that's unlikely. These things take time to kind of work their way through. And China is going to be the toughest one, especially with this back and forth we've got of, hey, we're having talks, China saying, no, we don't. And I think that's contributing a lot to kind of the red you're seeing so far in this market this morning.
Sure. Well, it could change the way some U.S.-based shoppers shop. A lot of people are used to buying online. They want the lower prices there. But now, if it's not an option, you got to go out in the store, support local, buy made in USA, although sometimes it's hard
$2
to
rather
find.
than 30.
That's right. That's what the president says. We'll see how it plays, by the way, with the American public. In the meantime, our thanks to Brandon Arnold and Matthew Tuttle. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You got